From the gridiron to the diamond, this is more than X's and O's. This is your best Florida sports podcast with CBS 12 News sports director John Evenson, producer extraordinaire Sam Sullivan, and Max Shepman with the lighter side of sports.
The big 2-0, episode 20.
You're still counting.
I am still counting. We've had a couple extras here and there, but main episode's number 20. A lot to talk about. We've got basketball, golf, football, a little bit of baseball.
Is it really basketball, though, that we're going to be discussing here? Or is it just
reality
belly
TV.
aching or reality TV?
Yeah.
Angry basketball players of Miami on the Lifestyle Network.
Let's jump right into
Lifestyle
it. Jimmy,
I don't know what channel.
Lifestyle.
Jimmy Butler once again suspended for a third time this month. This one's indefinite, so it'll go through the trade deadline, which is February 6th, next Thursday.
Yeah. This time he stormed out of practice in a huff, coming off his last suspension when he found out that Eric Spoelstra did not have him in the starting lineup, and that was it for him.
Yeah,
ran away crying, and
Well, the crying part.
Well, I didn't see it in person.
Oh, right. You heard from somebody who heard from somebody who.
Strong sources.
I probably wouldn't say crying. I'd probably say some profanity being left out there as he's walking out the arena.
That I could agree with.
This has gotten ugly, man. I mean, you see Eric Spoelstra before the game, his press conference, and of course the place was packed with writers and Miami TV personalities. He looks at them all. He's like, I know why this place is packed. They're trying to get him to answer at least one question about, Jimmy Butler or even the mood of the team or how they're going to get through this, because it's it's beyond an elephant in the room. And he just does not want to give that answer that's going to be juicy. He just says, I don't care. We're concentrating on basketball. We're figuring out we're inconsistent. And you're inconsistent because you don't have your biggest star, and he's causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
Like Max always does.
That's fair. Yeah. I am the ruckus starter. I am
So-
the Jimmy Butler of this podcast.
So far, let's just recap what's happened here in this saga. So I think it was early January. A week before that, the team had said they're not going to trade him because there was a lot of rumors. Yes. He called out the team after a game. I guess reports came out that he had been accused of not giving his all in a specific game after coming off an injury. I said he wasn't happy in Miami anymore. It really indicated that he wanted to be traded. Forced the team to suspend him there, then came back for 3 games. Missed a flight to Milwaukee, a team flight to Milwaukee. He was going to join them there, but then they suspended him 2 more games. And when he came back, found out he wasn't in the starting lineup, stormed out of practice crying. I made up the crying part, prompting this indefinite suspension through the trade deadline. And listen, what was he at some
Yeah, he was the captain, I believe, of some paddleball tournament or something, and he was expected not to play. But now that he got suspended, the 2-game suspension, he goes, you know what? I'm going to play on this. I'm going to go all out. Who knows if that broke any agreements within his contract?
Right. This is all part of it, man. Everything that Jimmy does, I now question everything I've ever witnessed him do because, when he shows up, because he is now Miami's, and this is tough to be, he's the ultimate troller. Yes. He's the ultimate professional sports troller above Tyreek Hill now, playing in that tournament. He would show up every year for the team photo with some crazy look, you know.
Remember the emo days?
Hairstyle,
emo days? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I used to think, he's being funny, and but I think really it was just a big finger to the whole concept of team pictures.
It seemed like he was trying to break the Heat culture, and why would you want to do that when that was kind of the biggest reason you came here in the first place, is to be a part of that culture, turn this team around, bring them back to championships, which he did. I mean, we can't underplay what he did for this team while he was here.
Of course
which is
not.
Bring them to 2 championships, go on crazy playoff runs, but
this type of Jimmy we've seen before in other organizations.
with the Timberwolves.
Right.
Yes.
So this is not some big, whoa, what's happened to this guy? I mean, we've seen this layer of him before. What do you think, Max? What would you do if you were Pat Riley? Be the Godfather. Put yourself in his shoes.
God, I feel like if I'm Pat Riley, like as much as a ruckus as Jimmy is causing, I just feel like Pat Riley is just such a hard ass, you know? I just like
he's already crossed the line. Jimmy has to the point where
right, but I also
Jimmy's
feel,
like dead to him.
Yeah, but I also
I
feel
shouldn't put it that way. But you know what I mean.
I also feel like if they, let's say they do trade Jimmy at the trade deadline, right? I feel like that's going to give a sense to, like, Pat's like, oh, Jimmy won. Like, he got his way out. Like, he's caused enough of a distraction. I just feel like Pat Riley is not that guy to be like, yo, like, you're going to get your way, and that's going to be it. Me, personally, I think, like, yo, you got to do whatever the hell you need to do to get Jimmy the hell out of there because, like, one, like, you talked about it. Like, the distractions that this is causing. Spo can't even focus on, like, game planning or anything without Jimmy Butler being mentioned.
Yep.
So at some point, egos are going to have to come together. Like, okay, Pat Riley's like, I'm so over this. Like, let's just get him the hell out of here. Like, whatever we get for a trade, yes, Jimmy is a star in the NBA, but, like, whatever you can get to get him the hell out of here to fix the quote-unquote Heat culture, that's something you got to look at very quickly. And obviously, like, the trade deadline's coming up, so they are running out of time to make a decision.
Well, there you go right there, Max. And this is the thing. I mean, there could be a scenario here where they don't even trade him, and they just eat the remainder of his contract.
Well, that's
$52 million or whatever it is.
That's a scenario that I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Let's say Pat Riley doesn't find any offers intriguing. Do you just suspend him indefinitely with pay just to keep him away from the team and just say, you know what, keep him away, keep him shut up, like keep him, I guess, quote unquote, happy so he's getting paid. Well, just do whatever.
They've already shown that they are doing the worst damage they can to him that they can think of, and it's not that much considering how much he makes, but they're continuously trying to hit him in the pocketbook. I guess that's their only defense right now.
Well, and as of right now, I just want to make sure I read this right. Jimmy Butler is losing $532,737 per game.
Wow.
Which is for us.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like
whatever.
But for Jimmy Buckets, who's making 40, what's he making? 40-something million this year?
Yeah.
I forget the exact number in my head.
It's
nothing to him.
He's bringing this all on himself. Like every one of these moves that he makes is damaging his own worth. Like if you're an NBA team, why would you want a guy like this on your team? I mean, by all accounts, Phoenix would like to have him and reportedly extend his contract, but they need to get rid of Bradley Beal's contract. And Pat Riley is like, no thanks, but no thanks.
And it's also not what the team needs. They don't need another guard. So.
And let's say, okay.
So he's made himself impossible to trade almost.
Let's throw the scenario out there. He goes to Phoenix. You got Booker out there, KD out there. You think that man's going to get the ball as much as he wants out there? I don't think so. No. So, like, let's say the Suns make that trade. This could be Oppenheimer Part 2 with just how Jimmy is behaving.
But maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he doesn't want to have all of that responsibility that he's had with Miami, where he is like the for sure number one option, and number two is much lower than him.
But are you really a star if you take that approach to that?
I just feel like he felt disrespected along the way, and that ego was damaged a little bit too much to want to continue on with this brass. And from Pat Riley's perspective, specifically here, Ira, I think in the Sun Sentinel was talking a little bit about this. The Heat in a trade are specifically looking for financial flexibility for the 2026 season. That's a priority for Riley. Because there's a far superior free agent class than this upcoming offseason. Plus, Terry Rozier and Duncan Robinson are going to come off the payroll. So they'll have Bam and Tyler Hero in the mix in 26-27, and they can kind of work around those guys. So that's what they're...
As they should.
Yeah, so
The
Riley's
cornerstones
thinking
of what
ahead.
the Heat
There's
are
some
right
specific things he needs here, but who
But,
knows?
okay,
Maybe they'll eat Jimmy Butler's contract and send him on his merry way.
That's the predicament that Pat Riley's in right now. Is do you trade him just to get rid of him? Do you trade him to get great value out of him? Do you suspend him throughout the rest of the season to keep him away from the team? I mean, there's so many different ways that he could play. Do you trade him to a team that he wouldn't want to go to?
Yeah.
To stick it to him?
Just to troll him.
I mean, there's really a lot that he can do here, and he's only got days left.
Well, and it brings it up, like, okay, like he's looking for 2026. Maybe there's not as much pressure to move him at this deadline this time. Maybe you trade him in the offseason. Maybe you trade him at the next deadline.
You could.
Granted, I know Jimmy's talked about, like, he's got like the $50-something million option that he's going to use, but like as a trade chip.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, again, my take is like we need to get him the hell out of here ASAP. But I guess also when you're looking at a Pat Riley's perspective, like, all right, if we're looking for 2026, maybe the pressure's not on us to move him right away.
I would love just like a half an hour or like an hour movie just to be made about what's
30 for
happened
30?
over the past since January 1st. Like
nice
who would play
four-part.
Pat Riley? Like Jack Nicholson
Al
or something.
Pacino.
Yeah, there
he's
you
so
go.
great. Anyway, to be continued on that front.
Heat
I
is
haven't
not
seen Jimmy
on.
Butler at the TGL.
No, but
I've seen every other celebrity
you've
there.
seen a lot of big people there.
Evanson has become our like Entertainment Tonight like reporter at the TGL, just meeting celebrities left and right.
TGL TMZ.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
ET.
Brand it. Get a copyright on that.
That's what it is. It's incredible. So anyway,
It was.
did you watch Match 4?
It was the best match out of all of them
Yeah.
so far.
And even being there, I can say the same thing. I have not watched one of these on television. From everything I'm told, I've seen like snippets of it. It's a really cool experience. But to be at SoFi Center right here in our own backyard in Palm Beach Gardens on the campus of Palm Beach State College, and to just sort of see... It's like seeing the television show within the event, you know, because you see all the cameras around and everything, and you've got such close access to these golfers who are like right in front of you, especially the media. Like they walk right by you behind the scenes as they head on out. Like it's just an experience that's nothing like the PGA Tour or any of the major events that I've ever covered. Even the live events don't have this feel. And, of course, Match 4 was Tiger versus Rory.
Yep.
Really, Jupiter Links versus Boston Common Golf. So that's Rory's. And it was great. It was they played right to there was some great putts. Rory and Tiger exchanged big-time putts and to tie a hole. And Adam Scott made a massive putt to put Boston in a good position. And then it was Tom Kim, I believe, who...
He almost had that ace, too.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that was cool. That was almost the first TGL ace. But even crazier, and this is smart because my daughter is talking about TGL. There was a bunch of 20-something, the people the girls in our newsroom were excited because I was talking to one of the One Direction guys, Niall Horan, who I literally, if he'd walked by me, and I would not have realized that it was him because he just, there was everyone there was sort of. There's a lot of bigwigs there. Let's put it that way. There's people coming out of the VIP area.
Since you've been there, you've seen Serena Williams, Governor Ron DeSantis, Big Papi.
Yeah. DJ
Khaled.
DJ Khaled is there. There's always like
another one.
People you wouldn't expect to be there.
Yes.
We'll get to Mike Trout a little bit later. He was there, but I did catch up with Niall Horan. So I was made aware that he was there. And so I made sure like I Googled him just to sort of like remind myself what this cat looked like. Because, I know One Direction music, but
he don't know what they look like.
Yeah.
not necessarily like individually.
Yes.
I wouldn't like, if I ran into them in a Chipotle, I wouldn't quite know, Anyway, so I saw him coming out of his party outside. What a nice guy, man. Yeah. And he had a handler with him, and they were like, 1 minute to tee off. And I was like, would I be able to interview you really quick? And so the handler was like, yeah, 1 or 2 questions. He was behind me. He was a big guy. I wasn't going to mess with him. And I got 2 questions in, and he gave me the tap, like this is the last question tap. But Niall was such a great guy. So here's my conversation with him. Short, albeit, but sweet conversation about him being a limited partner in Boston Common Golf. That's one of the teams who played Match 4.
What do you think of this whole? I mean, what made you decide to invest in this in the first place, and what do you think of it so far?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Rory, and Rory was starting the whole league, and obviously getting in with Fenway Sports Group, who were put the Boston team together. And the minute I met those guys, I was all in. Just the whole idea of trying to revolutionize the game in this way, and having a good friend, and a crew like Fenway Sports involved, it was a no-brainer.
You're a guy who knows entertainment and how to entertain. What do you see in this as the future of golf?
The technology is just insane. Like last year was the first time that more shots were hit indoors than outdoors, and this is that on a different level. And tonight is going to be absolutely amazing. We got Tiger and Rory going head to head, and two great teams, and it's going to be a great time. The atmosphere is going to be amazing.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. He was there with Noah Khan, another big musician.
Was Shaka Khan there by chance?
Shaka Khan, no relation to Shaka Khan.
Maybe next
week. I don't think so. I won't name any names, but there was a 24, 25-year-old female who works in our newsroom who came up to me the next day and said, "Oh my God, you spoke with." I was going to say Noah Khan with Niall Horan.
Shaka Khan.
And,
now I'm going to have that stuck in my head.
That would have just been and went into and started welling up in tears, talking about how I interviewed. Yeah.
Wow.
So this guy, he's got some power.
He's got some pull.
Smart to get him involved from the ground level. And he could have been more gracious. He just wanted to go watch his team. That's why his handler had him out of there pretty quick.
think it's smart for the business as well to have all these big names, show up and have them around, have them invest. Because
to show golf is like if it was just a bunch of golf people who
it's like the Waste Management Open, but for Palm Beach County.
Yes.
Yeah, and you see musicians. You see popular musicians. You see players from other sports, Serena. You see, again, Mike Trout, who I'm going to play you a bite from in a little bit. But the TV numbers have been rather impressive. They couldn't have asked for anything more than this. Tiger, by the way, and Rory both said Match 4 was exactly what they envisioned for TGL. It was exciting. It was close. There was good banter back and forth. And I could tell it got their competitive juices flowing.
Yeah, so the match on Monday averaged out 864,000 viewers for that match. It peaked at 1.1 million.
Wow, there you
from
go.
From 8:30 to 8:45. So that was definitely near the end of it when it really started to heat up.
And it's beating some big college basketball games too that are on ESPN.
And to compare it with prior matches, the debut had an average of 919,000, and then Tiger's debut was 1 million. So I think that's really what they're looking for. When it was neither of them, it was in the 700,000. So they got to be able to build that without the two of them in it, or with only one of the two in it. So,
when Harry Styles hears these numbers, he's going to be calling up.
He's going to show up.
Niall.
He's going to perform a concert out there.
Yeah, I was going to say they might start doing performances either before, after, or right in the middle.
Going to keep getting bigger. I mean, Shaka Khan might even show up. Shaka Khan might show up.
Genghis Khan? What about Genghis Khan? Let's name all the Khans.
Shaka Khan. Let me rock Shaka Khan.
Somebody who did show up, as you've already mentioned, Mike Trout.
Yes. Oh boy. Mike
investor.
Trout, he had
Jupiter
a really
Links.
Big security guard, right behind me while I was speaking with him. So anyway, they had him and Big Papi had gone out to speak to SportsCenter because Mike Trout is a brand new limited partner with Tiger with the Jupiter Links Golf Club. So he was there. Big Papi, I think he's just along for the ride. I could be wrong there. I think he was just there to enjoy it along with his buddy.
He does have the Boston tie, though.
He was there. He was definitely cheering on Boston.
I think he played for the Red Sox, right?
I thought you were going to say he played for the Boston Common Golf that night.
He
but
might.
Yeah, he did play for the Sox. Fenway is, a big, the company is the owner of
Yes.
Boston Common Golf. But on the Jupiter side, Mike Trout, it was great. I grabbed him. I wanted to ask him. I basically had to ask one of them for an interview, and I went with Mike Trout because he's a megastar, current megastar. The local angle with him owning a part of Jupiter Golf, Links Golf, and also, as you'll see in this interview, local tie of a kid that we've covered for years around here, who also plays for the Angels. So again, there was a big, meaty-looking, scary guy tapping my shoulder.
Not the same guy, different guy.
Different guy. This guy gave me a harder tap third question, so I had to wrap it up pretty quick. But Mike Trout was very, very accommodating. So here's my interview with him.
All right, well, this is pretty cool. You're seeing the facility. What got you interested in Jupiter Links?
Yeah, Tiger mentioned it, and when Tiger mentions something, you look into it. So it's pretty cool to be ownership of it, limited ownership, and just be here and see everything. I tell a lot of people before I got here, it's like seeing it on TV, it's one thing, but once you come in here and see the arena and seeing how big it is, and seeing the layout, it's pretty awesome.
How far could you see this going, and where could this take golf?
Yeah, I think it's good for the fans. I think it's going to be up close. You get to interact with them, see their personalities a little bit. And it's when they're on the golf course, it's pretty serious. I think they're more laid back on this stuff. So.
Are you tempted to get out there and maybe hit some home runs into that thing?
No. I'm sure I'll hit some soon, but I don't know about tonight.
Can I ask you about Nolan Shanawell? He's a local kid who we've covered for years. What do you see in him? I know he's going into his third season. What's been impressive for you? Yeah,
I like Nolan. I think the biggest thing that people don't see, the maturity in the clubhouse, and just working hard every single day. I think when he first came up, he was kind of holding back a little bit, shy a little bit. Now he's starting to open up a little bit and want to learn. So it's pretty cool to see him grow. He's got a bright future.
Yeah, Nolan, just a ridiculous career at FAU with his average over. Do you have his numbers there by any chance? Or?
I do have his numbers from when he first hopped into the league. I mean, it felt like in no time he gets drafted, single A, couple games, double A, couple games, triple A, and that's it.
Quickest guy to the majors after being drafted in 3 years at the time, I think, and he got hits in 30 consecutive games.
Yep.
I mean, he was, I think his slash line started with a 503 or something at FAU. So he was just his on base percentage was just bonkers.
Through the roof. Yeah. In the 29 games he played in the 23 season, 275 batting average, 6 RBIs, 20 walks, 30 hits, 19 runs. And then in last season, a bit of a step back, but he played in obviously a lot more games, 147 games, 250 batting average, 130 hits, 54 RBIs. So he's looking for that big boost on a team that's, the Angels are really still trying to figure themselves out after they lose Ohtani. They've lost pitchers. Trout hasn't played a full season in a long time, unfortunately. So they're looking for some people to step up.
Max, another way that FAU just pumps out these stars somehow.
FAU, and I mean, you even even Park Vista. I mean, you look at the names that have come through that school. Trey Turner, obviously, Austin Smith, high prospect coming out of Park Vista. Yep. Now Nolan. I mean.
I graduated from there 2018.
That was the biggest example of all.
Add him to the list. But I mean, the fact
they need to have some downfalls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming in hot.
Right.
No, but yeah, just it really is becoming like a baseball school of Palm Beach County. Like we talk about it all the time. We see the football talent, we see the basketball talent, but at some point, you got to start putting Palm Beach County in developing talent as well. Sure. And Mike Trout kind of talked about it. Yeah, you've interviewed him before, Evenson. I've interviewed him before. And I remember the first time, interviewed, like you said, he's a very quiet guy. Very quiet guy.
Yeah.
But, you would talk to Coach McCormick down there. He's like, he's super outgoing with the dudes, with the team and everything. But, yeah, it's just really cool to see another South Florida success story come to light. And, I agree with Mike. He's got a super bright future ahead.
Real quick, Shanawell story, because I can't help myself, because this is one of the coolest things that's happened in my sportscasting career, actually, when coming full circle with an athlete. Trey Turner was at the ballpark of the Palm Beaches around when it first opened. He was still with Washington at the time. And the current Park Vista baseball team came to watch them work out at spring training. And this was, I guess, 5 years ago now. And Trey Turner met them all after, and I was getting shots, and I thought I'd interview a couple of the Park Vista players. And so I asked Coach, and he gave me 2 guys. And I never thought about it again. And then fast forward to when Shanawell gets drafted, I go into FAU, and I interview him there, and just say, like, I knew he was on that particular team. So I said, when Trey Turner came to, when you went to go watch him practice at spring training, like, or just knowing that he was, he had played for this team, how much of an inspiration was that to want to get to the majors? And he's like, well, John, as I told you that day when you interviewed me at the stadium, I mean, he means everything to me. Like, watching his work ethic, my mind was blown, because I had not remembered that he was the kid who I literally talked to. Yep. And I looked up the video for my story that night, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up. Like, it was him saying, like, I know that if I do what Trey Turner has done and work as hard as he does, one day I'll make it to the major leagues. And there was a young Nolan Shanawell, it seemed like yesterday for me. And sure enough, wow, what a story. Nolan Shanawell.
And the fact that he remembered that too.
Well, yeah, it was something that he had remembered from when he was I guess it was the first time he was ever interviewed or something.
A young warthog, as we would say.
Yeah, so just the fact that just randomly, like, he's the guy who I talked to that day, and now he's, an up-and-coming star for the Angels, I just think is incredible.
Also, shout out head coach Larry Greenstein for
the best. Greenstein is the best.
Pumping out those prospects.
That's
and
right. He was the guy who made the call to give me him as the interview. Yep. So he knew something.
He was inducted to the South Florida High School Basketball Network Hall of Fame.
There you go.
Legendary stats. Right,
and he's got a great mustache.
Yeah. Yeah, he does have absolutely. Yeah. You can't ever go wrong with that.
No. Is there a football game coming up in the near future?
Yeah. You're talking about the Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the flag football, dude.
Yeah, right. There were some huge games this past weekend. The bigger one, really, of the two was right here on CBS 12 News. That Bills-Chiefs game.
Get the conspiracy theorists out. Get them out.
Talk about the Eagles first, but
that's why I thought he was going.
I like the idea of starting with Bills-Chiefs, because I do want to get to our interview with Terry Bradden.
Okay.
So maybe let's do Eagles after. Let's talk about Bills-Chiefs first, because that game, it's still getting a lot of talk, of course, for so many different reasons. Yes. But what were you going to say about the Bills-Chiefs?
I mean, there was so many takeaways in that game, just from missed calls, the opportunity for the Bills to go ahead, take a late lead, extend a lead earlier in that late part of the game. I mean,
you nailed it right there.
And just Josh Allen not being able to get past Patrick Mahomes.
Was it? I thought one thing that was pretty surprising was just how nervous Josh Allen looked right out of the gate.
See, that's what people should not entirely be talking about, but I'm hearing a lot more.
Especially
the quarterback sneak. That was definitely a first
we'll get into that. I've got that
and
for you.
And the official. Like, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I was rooting for the Bills in this game. Okay.
Shocker.
Yeah, I was. I love Josh Allen, and I'll be like, you were bang on. I think it was Max who just said it. Like, there should have never been a scenario at the end of this AFC Championship game with the Chiefs where people were talking about how a quarterback sneak on fourth down was going to be the difference in this game. The difference was putting up points and getting a solid lead, and Josh Allen was not up to the challenge early in this game. He looked nervous. He was throwing into double coverage. He was throwing crazy Hail Marys, for no reason.
Yeah.
The running game was their bread and butter for a lot of these games at the start, and that they weren't, give the ball to James. I mean, I really... after that, the midway through the first quarter, I could already see a problem here.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, they didn't rely on that run game enough. James Cook only had 13 rushes, but he had 85 yards, 2 touchdowns, a couple of huge breakout runs to really put them in the Chiefs' territory.
He's averaging 6.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, I mean, and 3 receptions on top of that for 49 yards. I mean, he is that number 2 option for that offense. It goes Allen first, but you need at least a second guy to be able to step up and,
Because Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But just to bring some balance to this offense and keep the Chiefs honest with how they have to be able to cover, that team. And it was that was the biggest issue for the Bills is they left it.
The Bills not know how to do a tush push. Why is?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was at a friend's house. We were having some beverages, and we'll get to the Eagles game in a little bit. We saw
lemonade.
Yeah, absolutely, lemonade.
Yes.
And we were talking. Again, we'll get to the Eagles game here shortly. But we were talking about Jalen Hurts just being able to successfully do the tush push. And we're like, considering how big Josh Allen is, it should be a no-brainer,
He's
right?
bigger. He's bigger than him.
Get a massive humanoid behind him and
right.
let's go.
Get Dalton Kincaid or even James Cook back there to push him, whatever. I just think it was so weird, when they would do it and they would try, he would take a step back and then try to go left.
Yeah, that's what he was doing. He was
guard
taking the snap and he was automatically either going straight to the left or straight to the right.
Right.
The first down's not it's not east and west. It's north. It's right in front of you.
If you see a hole in the line, yeah, absolutely, make the call yourself. But I feel like 99% of the time, you're just going right behind the center.
Yeah.
And they did not convert on, I think, 3 fourth down and inches situations QB sneaks. I think I saw somewhere that's the most.
I think they only had 1 fourth down conversion, but it was a 4th and 2 or 4th and 3.
Yeah.
That was their biggest issue is that they left this game in the hands of the refs. We heard it from the Texans after they lost to the Chiefs is that we knew we could not leave this game in the hands of the refs.
Right.
They'll make calls that become questionable, and you don't want to blame it on them, but it's on the Bills to be able. You needed to be able to score, make stops, and keep it out of reach.
But again, also if this quarterback sneak isn't working, just hand it off to your running back.
Yeah.
Again, who's averaging 6.5 yards.
Right.
Why the hell Sean McDermott got away from running the football?
You didn't even have to follow the Bills all year to kind of see there was a problem with the play calling. And Allen got the ball he had that chance.
3 minutes and 33 seconds to take the lead.
And Mahomes is the guy who does it with consistency,
yes.
And Allen did not do it in this game. And you look at the close game, that's the Chiefs have won like that all year.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing that I kind of want to bring up here is, at some point, losing these games just becomes the DNA of your team, right?
Yep.
You look at the 4 straight Super Bowls. They've never been able to beat Pat Mahomes. They've never been able to beat whoever. I think eventually it just gets that point. Like I said, it just gets in your DNA. I mean, you look at the teams in different sports. You look at the Maple Leafs. Sorry, Evanson. Yeah.
It's my DNA.
Maple Leafs, sorry about that, Evanson. But
but see, I feel like there's a difference there because I think there was a difference with this Bills Chiefs because there's teams that consistently lose to other teams and it becomes in their head and everything like that. But there is that here, but it's also the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in the middle of just an incredible dynasty. And we've seen, what did I see here? Patrick Mahomes, check this out, dudes. I don't know if you saw this.
Dudes.
Mind if I call you dudes?
Sure.
This is the Bro Podcast.
Patrick Mahomes went down 1 to 8 points in the fourth quarter or overtime of games in the playoffs in his career is 40 for 56 passing, 552 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, has a 132 QB rating, and 1 touchdown himself that he's running. The Chiefs have scored on 13 of 14 of those particular drives. Like, this is just what Patrick Mahomes does.
And I bet
so.
they're
Can the
also-
Bills? Does Allen? He is better than. Let's just say it. Patrick Mahomes is better than better than Josh Allen.
Honestly,
at this
like
point.
even
that's
better than
just the
Josh
way it
Allen.
is.
I think he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yes.
I'm ready to put him up there.
Whoa.
I don't care about Tom Brady and all that stuff.
Whoa.
Like I just feel like
Remember we asked Pierre Garçon that question last week, and he wouldn't commit to that he was better than Peyton. But
I'm
is
with
he better
them.
than Peyton Manning?
I
well,
think
you just said he's better.
I
than
think so.
You said
I
he's
think
better
so.
than
Yes,
Brady.
I think he's better than Peyton Manning.
Wow.
I think Patrick Mahomes is just the greatest quarterback to ever play.
Wow.
And
He
we're
just
not
got
even,
the clutch gene. Like, granted, like, yes, he doesn't have Tom Brady 7 Super Bowl rings, but like
You know what's so funny?
every
I have Yoda up on my screen right now, and
Show
it just
the world.
occurred to me that
Show
they
the
have
world.
similar voices.
Right.
Like I'm not.
He's
you know,
more of a Kermit the Frog, is what he sounds like.
yeah, not
Kermit
Yoda,
the
dude.
Frog. Okay.
Okay,
I got my
a
Muppets
little bit of
mixed
Yoda.
up.
Also,
I'm sorry. I
there's
apologize.
one more
no
thing-
disrespect. I love Patrick Mahomes.
There's one more thing I want to bring up here.
Yes.
The NFL is a billion-dollar industry.
Yes.
How in the frig
Oh, thank God
do
you
we
said
not
Fred.
have technology to spot a first down?
Yeah.
So
That's another thing,
Look,
yeah.
look at tennis. Look at tennis. They have the real time, like inside the line, like it's in, out. How the hell do we not have that technology?
You've
for
got
football?
VR in soccer, football. They
Ever,
look at that.
Ever since the Gene
Oh,
Steratore-
imagine they did the thing when they're checking to see if that fourth down was a first down. Then, like, as they show the line going across, everyone is like, yeah.
That's how it should
like
be.
tennis
Should
is.
be.
Yeah.
You'd start to scare these refs because I mean,
but like, dude, you're a billion-dollar industry. You're
Yeah.
relying on 60-year-old dudes.
I think we'll see that next, Max. I think that is the next thing we will witness is a laser.
They have
thing.
to.
Yeah, like the
you
ball,
can no
like you'll
longer
see.
you
Let's-
can no longer
Well-
leave this in the officiating of 60-year-old dudes like just blind eyeing it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sure, like
How
off
do you can't see through
No.
People.
like
Right.
all these people.
Like, sure, like,
on
right
top
now,
of
like,
each
you
other
look-
in a human pile.
like right now you look at the replay system like, okay, like do I think he got the first down? Yeah. Did I think there was any way in over hell they were going to overturn it with the replay? Absolutely not, because how many times have we seen it like it's inconclusive,
Yeah.
not definitive evidence, like
The only thing I thought was like the guy who had the worst view of it of the two
Got the
officials,
call right.
He's the one who
overturned
got
the
the
call.
call. He's-
Overturned it. Sorry
yeah,
about that, yeah.
And the guy who had the better view was like, no, I think he was like, that's
Yeah.
a first down. So anyway, whatever.
There's-
Bottom line is, I don't think that is the difference in this game. The Chiefs were the better team, just a little bit better in every aspect of this game. And you know who agrees with me on this?
who dat?
Our friend Terry.
Coach T.
Terry Bradden, former head coach of Inlet Grove High School, an incredible story, who has quickly worked his way as, for the last 4 years, he's been with the Chiefs as an assistant coach for 8 years. The last 4 years, he's been the assistant defensive line coach. Nicest guy. He's already got 3 Super Bowl rings from Riviera Beach. Terry Bradden, he was cool enough to Zoom with me earlier today, fresh out of a meeting, like a Chiefs Super Bowl meeting. So here's my conversation with Terry Bradden. We are joined now by our good friend, Terry Bradden. First of all, before we get into any Super Bowl stuff, I want to congratulate you on your new gig with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I know all your time and energy and mind waves are going into the Super Bowl preparation, but that's got to be a big deal for you, right? To be the new defensive line coach for Nebraska.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. I'm happy to coach Rule. Took upon to hire me, and I think it's a great opportunity. But all my focus right now is to finish here with the Chiefs, going on my 5th Super Bowl appearance, and hopefully my 4th one, receiving.
That makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Like when I know you're always busy, but when you just really, do you have moments when you just soak in how incredible this is, that you have an opportunity with your Chiefs team to try to win 4 Super Bowl rings here?
No, it's still a surreal moment. I think I'll probably think about it later on, but right now everything's happened so fast. I'm just blessed to be here and blessed for the opportunity.
What about the team? I mean, this feels already, people throw the word dynasty around and stuff like that, and I would kind of argue that it already is one. Is there something special? Is there a special feel to a team when you're totally surrounded by it? Is there a special confidence that you've never felt before?
No, I think Coach Reed does a good job with his leadership of just keeping us focused on the main thing and keeping us focused on one game at a time approach. And now we're playing a big game and focus on being in the Super Bowl.
What a defensive plan you guys had specifically against Buffalo last week. What is it like when you, at the beginning of the week, when you know how talented Josh Allen is and how talented the Buffalo Bills are offensively, because that's what you're thinking. How exciting is it just to open a whole new chapter and start planning to take down a team that has every intention of getting to the Super Bowl themselves?
No, it's very exciting. It's a great opportunity beginning of the week to look at their techniques and fundamentals and probably some tricks or gimmicks that we can probably get from or things they do on offense. And it's a great opportunity to game plan and move forward to the end of the week and know who we have to stop and the type of matchups that we have to go against. I think Coach Spags does a phenomenal job putting the game plan together, and we just go out there and put the game plan to work.
That said, I mean, I know it's early stages here, but when you see a team that has talented players like, Jalen Hurts, and my goodness, Barkley is just having a year. I mean, it's just him alone. He could be on the marquee with Patrick Mahomes if there was a marquee here for this Super Bowl. So where do you even start to game plan for these two guys?
Oh, man, Philadelphia Eagles have a phenomenal roster. From the quarterback to the receiver to the offensive line, and their defensive unit has been playing outstanding. It's just going to be a 60-minute game, and we just have to look at all the parts of the whole game plan from all situational defense and situational offense and take full advantage of it, and we go from there.
What's unique about this year for you? Because there's so many great moments for you in your 8 years in Kansas City. I know you cherish them all, but what has been kind of special and unique about it this time around?
I think this time around, knowing that it's possibly my last go, going to Nebraska, just thinking about where God brought me from all the way from Inlet Grove to Bethune-Cookman, and now going here in my 8th year, and now going to Lincoln, Nebraska, it's just it's a surreal moment. It's time to just look back and thank the good Lord from where He brought me from, and so everything is a little more special than normal.
Super Bowl rings aside, I mean, what do you know now, 8 years later, that you didn't know back then? Like, what are some of the greatest gifts that you've gotten out of this as far as just your evolution as a coach?
I think the greatest gift that I learned in my 8 years is that this business is all about people. You can't do nothing without having good people on your side, good people that communicate with the coaches and the players. It's just all about having good people all around you to make a championship team.
And that I've heard you tell me before. I mean, Andy Reid has been there for you through this entire thing. How special a head coach is he, and in your case, a boss?
Yeah, man, I love working for Coach Reid. It's been a truly blessing. He gave me an opportunity. Met me at the Pro Bowl when I met Emmett Thomas, and Emmett Thomas and Ted Cruz introduced me to Coach Reid, and just my story alone for him to give me opportunity and have no family, relative, no ends in the NFL. He just saw a young man working at the Pro Bowl, and it's been a blessing for me, man. And working for him, it's been awesome. He has helped professionally develop the young coaches, as myself, to 8 years later growing into a position where I could go to a Power 4 and run my own room.
Well, it seems like just yesterday we were covering you at Inlet Grove as the head coach there, and you've shared this story with us so many times. But for those listening to the podcast who maybe don't know much about your past, a lot of what you're doing is inspired by your late brother and you wanting to see through some of the dreams that he had. Can you share with the audience just your relationship with him and what happened and how that it's inspired you to be the Terry Bradden that you are today?
Yeah, it's just a blessing, man. I never had a chance to meet my late brother, but my mom taught me and told me about my brother that was murdered 30 feet from my house in Moral Heights Park. And once I was of age and I learned the story, I always told my mom that I want to finish what my brother Donald Ronald started, which is go to college, possible finish, excuse me, go to college, get a high school degree, and also play in the NFL. And I didn't have the opportunity to play in the NFL, but I've been blessed to be able to coach in the NFL. So my biggest obstacle, not obstacle, but my biggest quest in life was to finish what he started, and give my mom, a high school diploma, a college diploma, and now I can give her to touch some couple Super Bowl rings now.
Could you imagine what your late brother would think of you going for 4 Super Bowl rings with the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, it must be just beyond what you could have ever dreamed.
Yeah, God has been good to me, man. Growing up in Riviera Beach and, growing up in Moral Heights Park and those streets, and basically has taught me to be who I am and taught me core values. My mom, my dad, my parents just instilled in me hard work, relationship, and putting God first, man. So I think my brother be very happy and smiling down at me right now.
Maybe at the time you didn't realize it, but do you think growing up in Riviera Beach and everything that you've gone through kind of put you in the right mindset to really see what was right in front of you this entire journey and just make sure that you were able to recognize it and work off it?
Yeah, I definitely believe growing up in Riviera Beach, I went to every school in Riviera Beach from John F. Kennedy to Greater Bethel to all the way to Suncoast and Inlet Grove. And being in the Wells Recreation Department, just growing up in all the activities and areas in Riviera Beach, I believe instilled in me core values of hard work, in which, being at the Wells Recreation in the football program, the baseball program, even in the basketball program, and the great coaches that come from Riviera Beach, it just instilled in me, hard work and how to survive through adversity. And I think that's the biggest lesson I try to share when I come back home to the young boys and girls about, you can make it if you just put your mind to it, because everybody go through adversity. It's just how you make it through adversity.
What do those kids think, that like the young Terry Braddens, when they see you and they know, how much you've accomplished? What type of questions do they have for you? I'm sure they want to see the rings, right?
Oh yeah, like last year I went to the Boys and Girls Club on 13th Street in Riviera Beach, where I basically spent all my life growing up until I became a high schooler and went to college. I just shared a story to them. Me and my wife are just like that. You can make it through if you just put your mind through it. It's going to be hard times. It's going to be situations. It's going to be friends that, leave you. But if you just stick to your main goals and stick to who you are, and put God first, you can always make it.
It's so special for you in Kansas City, but I know that you're always up for another big challenge. Tell me why Nebraska was a great fit for you.
I think Nebraska is a great fit for me because they have a great coaching staff. The culture and the fan base is phenomenal. I thought it was a great opportunity to be with Coach Rule and his staff and under his tree. I've been under Coach Reed tree, so just to branch off to go to Coach Rule tree, I think it'd be phenomenal. I think everything about Lincoln is amazing, and I think it's just a right time for me to go to college and, test the waters.
How special will it be if you're able to win your 4th Super Bowl ring here? And I say you, it's obviously the Kansas City Chiefs, but for you to be able to accomplish this in your final year once again, can you put into words what this specific ring would mean?
I think all of them are very special because most people don't even get a chance to make it to the playoffs or win a playoff game as an NFL coach. But to have the opportunity to three-peat and have the opportunity to put your name on history with the great organization and a Hall of Fame head coach, I think it just means the world. And for me to be my last go around here, and to finish with a bang and take my next coaching tenure to Lincoln, Nebraska, I think this ring is very special. But all of them are special. If you could get a Super Bowl ring, everyone is special.
Well, Terry, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you joining us here. I know it's a busy week, and there's so much going on emotionally for you as you work through this, but best of luck in the Super Bowl and best of luck in Nebraska. We can't wait to catch up with you again and talk about more success.
John, thank you so much. You've always been a big supporter of mine, and you always helped my career. I really appreciate you, and thank you so much for the opportunity and the time that you gave me today to talk about the Super Bowl.
Oh, anytime. We love you, man, and good luck this week, or I guess 2 weeks from now.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills are wishing they would have that special moment in a few weeks.
They need Terry Bradden. That's who they need.
That'd be the changer. Or, they
are going to have a special moment in Cancun. Then.
Right. Well, while they're in Cancun, they're going to really think about these 3 plays that were missed calls, in my opinion.
You're still on this.
It's just
all that
opinion.
Inspirational stuff from Coach Bradden.
Let's go in chronological order.
All right.
That 26-yard reception by Xavier Worthy, that ball that we all saw
that ball
in
hit the
the
ground.
battle with Damar Hamlin, that ball that clearly hit the ground.
That was wacky.
They say that a ball can hit the ground,
but it can't move.
It can't move so long as somebody has possession.
Yeah.
So
I didn't think Xavier Worthy had possession.
So, yes, the ball did not move, but nor Damar Hamlin or Xavier Worthy had possession of that ball. Both of their arms were wrapped around each other on the ball.
Yeah.
So that's not that's
Possession.
one that
It's
was
like
missed.
they had simultaneous possession.
Yeah, right. That's one that was missed.
Yeah.
They went up 21-10 on the rest of that drive, the Chiefs. Then the Bills made it 21-16 at half. Had they not gotten that, it would have been a field goal. Could have been 17-16 at half or 17-17 because they wouldn't have went for 2. The Bills.
Sounds like as an Eagles fan, you really wanted to play the Bills.
It's just you never want the refs to be a third player in a game.
Isn't it uncanny? There always seems to be plays like this in these big games lately.
Yes.
That narrative is, I don't know how
and it's been throughout the season.
I don't know how healthy it is for the NFL that this is what everyone's talking about. Yeah, they got to fix that.
The second instance was 3rd and 3. Bills are up 22-21. Dalton Kincaid catches that ball, gets wrapped up, extends, gets over the first down marker. They mark him a yard short. You look at the replay. They obviously didn't replay it. You look at the replay. His knee was never down. They marked him where he thought his knee went down. So then it's 4th and 1. Then the third one is the QB sneak that we talked about, where he gets marked short, Josh Allen. He gets twisted to the side. His back is to one ref, but he's facing another ref who called it a first down. You see him walking toward the ball.
Yeah.
He's past that yellow line. That's
They
on
were
the
they were
broadcast.
both on like opposite
But then the
sides.
one whose back is toward Josh Allen, he's short.
Yeah,
I don't see
that
it.
was the part that I thought weird. And the NFL head of NFL officiating, I think I saw somewhere today.
Did they even do? I don't think they even did a pool report after that game.
No, there was a report that the head of NFL officiating said that was a first down.
Great.
So
You see it in the NBA.
I think I'm right there.
You see it in the NBA where they petition wins and losses based on calls.
There were so many more exchanges of.
Here's your apology letter.
You're right.
Oh, let me just read this.
That's how it goes. That's how the Bills are feeling.
Listen, I'm happy the Chiefs are in it though because I love Coach Bradden and I love you, Sam, because I know that you are a big Eagles guy. And I was thinking about you. First offensive possession for Philadelphia. Man, this is going to be. The more I think about it, the Saquon Barkley 60-yard touchdown. I was like, okay, this thing's over. But I was thinking. So whenever the teams were determined, Chiefs, Eagles, you saw a lot of people just saying like, oh my gosh, like this is the worst matchup, so boring, like. But then as the days go by, like, isn't that always the case? Like, at first you're like, those aren't the teams I wanted in it. It would have been exciting to see, a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, or Josh Allen, who's exciting to watch, and Damar Hamlin would have been in the Super, stuff like that. But when you really think about it, I mean, think about this. This is just a heavyweight matchup. And when you think about what Saquon's been doing this year, That's I don't know. This is going to be some exciting stuff.
Yeah, being that it's obviously the two same teams that faced each other 2 years ago, that close loss that the Eagles faced, 38-35, another Another bad call at the end there, but
so the biggest difference in this game compared to that game has got to be Barkley.
It's
right?
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And it's also this defense. This is there's only 3 of the 11 defensive starters are in this upcoming game that were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's obviously a different coordinator. It's Vic Fangio.
Who was just basically completely
destroyed
by the Dolphins. He left, obviously, to go home and to go. But I can't forget the Javon Holland social media of him kicking rocks and everyone kind of getting this look on their face when you would ask them about Vic Fangio heading into the next training camp. It was clear they did not respect him. Well, I'm not saying all of them, but there was something going on there where they did not respect him, like a guy who's now in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was brought in 2 years ago before the last Super Bowl. Vic Fangio was brought in as a consultant to help with the defense, to help them scheme, plan up for this game. It blew up. It did not end well. Jonathan Gannon, our old defensive coordinator, now head coach of the Cardinals, didn't like that they were bringing somebody from the outside to help him out. He'd already led this defense to be one of the statistically best defenses in football during that 22-23 season. He lets up 38 points, just a complete shocker to what he's done, what he did that entire season. Now you've got Fangio, who it's undoubtedly the best defense in football. Mm-hmm. The run and pass game.
That game in the trenches it was just it was
55-23.
Yeah.
They caused 3 fumbles, an interception, Saquon Barkley, 100+ yards, 3 touchdowns, that opening 60-yard touchdown run. Jalen Hurts finally has that huge pass performance, 246 yards, 20 of 28, which is, that's in and of itself, it's not like him, but it's something that he can do. But then you also notice it's not something he needs to do when you have Barkley back there. Hurts also had 3 rushing touchdowns. I thought it was funny when they kept on trying to go for the tush push at the goal line, and the Commanders kept on jumping over the line over and over and over.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Shades to Troy
That was one of the most
Polamalu.
surreal things I've seen.
Yeah, it's a play where you know.
And then the refs were like, "Listen, I have the power to call this a touchdown."
A touchdown to
I
keep
had never
avoiding
heard
this.
that before in my life.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Max, what do you think? Does Jalen Hurts? I just don't want our Eagles guy to go on and on about this, and we need a neutral opinion here. Everything you said, though, holds water. Let me just put it. But how bad do you think Jalen Hurts needs to have a big game here to really he never seems to be in the conversation as much outside of Philadelphia. Everyone always mentions Mahomes and Allen. At least that's my perception. Hurts needs this to be on that Mount Rushmore, right?
I think so. I love Saquon. Saquon's having a historic season, right?
Oh, so you're saying it should be Patrick Mahomes and Saquon Barkley on the marquee of the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
absolutely,
absolutely. No.
That proves my point right there.
God, it's just so hard because how can you not? Saquon is carrying this team, literally running the Eagles to the Super Bowl. And you look at the Chiefs' defense; they really weren't slowing down James Cook, who's not as good as Saquon Barkley.
No.
So while I do think Jalen Hurts needs to, quote-unquote, have this, I think the Eagles kind of go with the same game plan as just run Saquon because, again, the Chiefs had trouble stopping the Bills' run game.
Yeah, and you talk about whether or not Hurts needs to have a big performance in the Super Bowl. He obviously does. But he's had a big performance in the Super Bowl already. In Super Bowl 57, he went 27 of 38, 304 yards, 1 touchdown, on top of 70 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Their biggest issue was that he was their leading rusher. They didn't have Barkley. And as I already mentioned, their defense crumbled at the end. The biggest issue in that game, the turning point for the Chiefs, is when Jalen Hurts had that fumble and the Chiefs scoop it and immediately score. It changes the balance of the entire game. But that's something that Hurts hasn't really done that much this season.
There's been a piece of you missing since that happened.
Yeah, there has. I mean, there's the penalty at the end that really ripped my heart out. But it was the lack of the running game for the Eagles and their defense. It crumbled for them, really, in that game. So, and those are two parts that have now improved for this team.
Oh,
but the
have
Chiefs,
they ever?
With the Chiefs on the other side, experience wins 9 times out of 10, and that's what they're going to ride with all the way.
Yeah, it's definitely the Eagles are definitely the most
Eagles
talented and complete team in the NFL, and the Chiefs are still somehow the scariest.
I feel like I could say this without bias. The
Yeah.
Eagles are the most equipped team to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I don't think there was anybody else on the NFC side.
I agree with that. I think the Eagles have the better roster. Chiefs have the better quarterback.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
And,
and better coach.
And better coach.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me on that.
All right. Well, we're not going to do score predictions because
Not yet.
it's
we'll
we
tease
got a
that.
whole.
There's a
we
much
got a whole
bigger
week. We got a
There's
whole
a much
week.
bigger
Yes.
breakdown that we'll have.
So Pro Bowl score prediction, Sam.
Oh,
I'm
man.
kidding.
Yeah, it's Manning versus Manning. But one bright side of the Pro Bowl that we could all look forward to, Jonnu Smith
Oh, well deserved.
gets announced that he's going to be filling in for the Pro Bowl. His stats this season, 88 receptions, 884 yards, 8 touchdowns, and of those 88 receptions, he converted 55 first downs. All of those are career highs.
Yeah. It was great to see the Miami Dolphins finally have a tight end who was a playmaker and a difference maker. Unfortunately, he wasn't enough of a difference maker to get the Dolphins to the playoffs, but
He did his part.
He's one of
He
the
did his part.
He's one of the great characters on this team. He's so we've talked about him. I just love that divine intervention of him throwing the ball into the stands and his son just randomly
He's got
catching
a magnet
it.
on the ball, and
Yeah,
it's right there.
Just great moments like that when you don't make it to the playoffs, you have some memories of that season, and Jonnu is definitely one of them. I'm glad he was on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did draft all Dolphins.
Yeah,
I did.
You had a couple
laughed
Dolphins
at me.
guys.
Yeah,
I did. Listen. I'm man.
I
enough
won
to,
the damn thing, so huh?
I'm man enough to
You making
admit
fun
when
of
I'm
my
wrong.
draft techniques?
Right.
I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong and I was wrong. So my
Yeah,
bad.
I don't think anybody's expected Jonnu Smith to be the biggest offensive playmaker for the Dolphins.
In Dolphins history.
With Hill and Waddle and Achane all there.
It's incredible. That part of the season was incredible. So I'm so happy, and you could tell in his eyes he was kind of hurt when we asked him when he was snubbed from the Pro Bowl, and he said straight up, I feel like I did enough to deserve to get there. And you kind of had a feeling that he was going to be an injury replacement.
Just got to wait for the injuries in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, or the people who make the Super Bowl.
I mean,
you
for
gotta get
God's
them-
sake, Russell Wilson's going to the damn Pro Bowl.
Drake May, the rookie's going to the Pro Bowl. So yeah.
Who was also at TGL, by the way.
Really?
Well, why the hell
Another
did you
Boston
interview
time.
him?
Completely rando. It was too late. I just literally
Did you spot him, or did somebody have to be
No,
like,
no,
yo,
no. The
Evanson?
TV, we were already in our little media center, and things had already gotten underway. There was like when I got the One Direction fella,
Niall Horan.
and the Niall Horan
Fella.
and who else did I get? Mike
You got
Trout.
Mike Trout, yeah. Everybody
Who,
big
oh
guy.
yeah, Mike Trout. That was when everyone was still hobnobbing, you know.
Right.
And then, but when we were watching ESPN and they showed like an ISO of and
Drake May.
There's Drake May. It's like,
I guess he's getting down to Florida a little early for the Pro Bowl. That's going to be in Orlando.
That's it. Yeah, you connected the dots there.
There you
for
go.
sure.
Touche.
So,
Nice.
and you'll have who you speaking to next week. We should wrap this sucker up. But who you speaking to next week?
We don't have a name yet, but
Yeah.
I will have next week. We will have an Eagles perspective. We got the Chiefs perspective, which was you need both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You need both sides.
We got to get an Eagles fan on here, like somebody who's just.
Somebody, not myself.
I've also got a couple phone calls out to some locals that used to play on the Eagles.
Some
so
Eagles
we'll
ties.
We'll see if we can tie those in.
We're going to get both sides. You know what?
Fly,
I
Eagles, fly.
think we're going to get Jason and Travis Kelce on next
Whoa.
week.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know who is on next week?
We should get Shane Gillis.
Yeah, there you go.
If
Big,
I would love that. He's a young.
I'll reach out to his PR
up-and-coming
people.
comic, right? Shane Gillis.
yes.
Up and
Saturday
coming.
Night Live
I
host.
don't know if he's up and coming. I feel like he's.
I think he's here.
I'm tongue in cheeking it.
He's here.
He's well established.
Now he's at your Ring doorbell now.
Yeah, right. There you go.
He's in all those Budweiser ads with Post Malone.
Yeah.
And that's who we always talked about. At the
You know, they actually taught me something in those commercials that you cannot drink an alcoholic beverage
That is
during a
true.
commercial.
I did know that, but I'd
That
forgotten.
is,
so.
well, now you know.
Yeah.
Hey, well,
There you
a
go.
very informative podcast this week. We hope you guys enjoyed. Next week, a Super Bowl special we'll have a lot to talk about with that game. We'll have TGL. Hopefully, Jimmy Butler has a new home.
I want to say Matt Lincoln is also going to be on next week.
Oh,
He's
yes,
got a
promote
great
it.
feature story explaining to us all the complexities and all the layers that come along with NIL.
Yeah, we have a exclusive sit-down interview with Brian White, Florida Atlantic's athletic director. We actually talked to him this morning, so he had some pretty good insight on how colleges are handling the wild west of what NIL.
That's what we try to do on this podcast is bring you inside the mind of these people. We had Pierre Garçon inside the mind of an NFL player. Now we're inside the mind of an AD.
I've been staring at Yoda for an hour here. I just put him on as my screensaver.
Evanson, to wrap up, I want Evanson to wrap up this week's podcast in a Yoda voice.
Sign
Yoda
us
voice,
off.
go for it.
Next week, see you, we will.
Best Florida Sports Podcast drops every Thursday morning. Listen on your favorite platform or watch on YouTube.